Hi everyone, it's Lisa again, and we're doing crafts here at the Paris Bourbon County Library, or I should say I'm videotaping crafts here at the Paris Bourbon County Library. Fall is in the air, so we're trying for the month of October to do as many fall and Halloween crafts as we can. And today we're going to be focusing on ghoulish bottles, spooky bottles, things that you can do to upcycle a bottle and make it look totally different for the holidays. And then one that you can also keep for next year's decorations. These are pretty easy to store. Normally at this time I would be giving you a list of the supplies that you'll need, but there's so many different supplies that I'd like to go over those individually as I tell you about how I decorated our ghoulish bottles. So I'm going to go ahead and start with just a random bottle, but this is a bottle that if you've been following any of my crafts on our website, then you know that we took twine and we covered an alcohol bottle with the twine, and I was unsure what to do with it until I knew I was going to be doing some ghoulish or spooky bottles, and I found a new use for it. So all I simply did on this one is I used twine. So if you're going to do this particular bottle, you're going to need twine. Now this is very thin twine. I probably would get one that's a little bit thicker, and as you're aware, they do come in different thicknesses. And I simply started at the bottom on the back and started with just randomly hot gluing that around there. I was very surprised at how straight it was, and then I just finished off at the top with a little bit of hot glue as well. Now this had a blue top on it. I painted that silver. I actually used wheel coating paint. This is what I had in my garage, and it was gray and had a little bit of a fleck in it, and that's what I wanted. So I was able to use that. Sorry about the lid. I sometimes get a little crazy with my lids when I take them off. But this works perfectly. It sprayed well, it stayed on well, so if you have any of this that you're not sure what to do with, please feel free to use it. The only other thing that I did to this is I did tie some leather at the top. I just wound that around a couple of times. I didn't make a bow. I don't know that these need to be frilly with a bow. I think they just needed something to kind of tie off at the top. And then on the front of this, you'll notice it says evil spirits. And all I have simply done is I have gone online and Google searched spooky bottle labels, and you're going to find all kinds of them. I just simply cut those out. Mermaid tears, hemlock root, this is bat wing tonic. These are not tinted. I kind of like the tinted look, but you could easily tea stain or coffee stain these. And then something I have never done before, but I took Mod Podge. Let me get this back together here. I'm going to have so many supplies out. I took Mod Podge. Now this is in a gloss. I would have preferred, honestly, a matte finish, but we're using what we have. So I used the Mod Podge, and I needed a little container and a foam brush. And all I simply did before applying this is I put a coat of the Mod Podge underneath of the label. I put the label on, and then to coat it, now it is not secure because we are Mod Podging on the twine, and it's a little bit harder to stick. But then I did an outer coat of the Mod Podge as well. I put a pretty hefty coat on there, and you can see it did not discolor the jute. But it also gave it a little bit of a finish, something that seems a little bit more stable than just a regular piece of paper that's been glued on there. So I think that turned out well. And again, for this bottle, we needed the bottle, we needed the twine. On this, I have the leather at the top. I spray painted with the silver paint, and then I just took my label and Mod Podged that on there. So this is a really creative way of upcycling into a spooky bottle as well. Okay, let's go on to our next one. The next one we have, I saw this one on a Google search, and it is just the eyeballs, the little Google eyeballs, or googly eyeballs, I guess. I painted this with the silver that I mentioned earlier. I put the leather around the top, and then I had a bag of the small Google eyes, and so I just hot glued those on there. I notice I'm missing one right here, but I can easily hot glue that on. And then just to add a little bit of touch, I glued one to each end of the leather string and one on top. I would have preferred to have various sizes of eyes on here. I think it would have looked better. Also, the Dollar Tree has evil looking eyes. I think that could easily be hot glued on here as well. So just some other options. But again, if you're gonna attempt to make this bottle, we need the Google eyes. We need spray painted silver, although you could spray paint it any color you want to, or leave it clear. And then we have the leather strapping as well. Okay? Excuse me. For this bottle, it became a mistake. I tried chalkboard paint, but it did not work well on this bottle when I actually started using the chalk to write on it. But it is a good looking bottle. It looks old. So therefore, I kept it and put one of the labels on the front. This one says Dragon's Blood. You'll notice that this is a matte finish, but my Mod Podge was a gloss finish. So I do notice that there's a shine on the label, but nowhere else. Now to properly finish this, I will probably go back and Mod Podge it all, and that way it all has the same glossy finish. But again, on this one, you could have easily used a chalk spray paint. I chose a chalkboard paint, which is very different. I didn't care for the results on this. So instead of investing in chalkboard paint, if you don't have any at home, then you could use the chalk paint. That gives a dull finish as well. So on this one, we needed the paint, we needed our Mod Podge, and we needed our label. This one, a small, love this size. Again, spray painted with the silver. We Mod Podged our trimmed spider hair on there, and I like the cork on the top, so I'm leaving it as is. Now let's get to a few of the different ones. This one I saw, and it was so cute. You can actually light these up from the inside if you've got the little battery pack lights, the little mini lights. I didn't have those on hand, so we use what we have. I did have white paint, and this one was indoor outdoor. It's a primer with a paint in it. It is a white flat. I have 2 coats on this, and then I took my permanent marker and drew my eyes and my mouth. The permanent marker was not bright enough across the paint to actually give the effect that I wanted. So in this case, I used the paint pens. Now I purchased these over a year ago for crafts that we had in the evening on Monday night, and I still use them. They're multiple colors. You do not need this many of them for your own crafting at home, but if you could get some of the basics, black, white, gray, you'll find that those work well. I simply shake this. I make sure that I've got a surface in which I can start it. I usually press the tip to make sure that I've got it coming out. This one's drying up on me, I fear. Oh, there it comes. And you can see that the more you work with it, the darker that becomes, and the more paint that comes to the tip of this. And then what I simply did was I just colored in the dark spaces with the pen. This took an extra long time to dry. I let this one dry overnight because this paint tends to be tacky. It is very high gloss. It is an oil-based paint. But I let that dry. I think that turned out really well. We put a black ribbon on the top. And because I had Ghost in a Bottle, this is supposed to help you grant wishes, I simply put that as a little hang tag around the neck of this and pushed it over to the side. I think that one turned out really cute. And you could do shades of green with the eyes. You could do orange. You could do any color that you wanted to for the upcoming Halloween holidays. This one. This bottle is painted with the gray or charcoal chalk paint. I put 2 coats on it because I wanted to get a good coat on there. I was unsure what to do. I did see an image online of a spider's web. So I took my white oil-based painter's pen and I drew first my spider's web. I was not real happy. I thought it looked very plain with just a spider's web with the black or charcoal gray background. And so I added a few embellishments, as I'm known to do. I found these rings. They're actually little rings that you can wear at the Dollar Tree. And I simply clipped off the back, the ring portion, and I'm left with these fabulous spiders. And so I put hot glue, just hot glue, one in the middle, and I put one at the end of my leather tag or my leather string. I put one at the top, and then I put unfiltered poison as my little hang tag on that one. I think this one turned out really cute as well. Something just fun and festive for Halloween. This one, I really didn't have to do too much to it. This bottle was the perfect color. I kept my lid the dark color as well. And then I had this very large witch's potion label, and I just simply Mod Podged that on there. Again, I put a label of Mod Podge. I put my sticker on the top of it, or my label, and then I went over the top of it. Now mine started to wrinkle, but that was okay. I just simply took my finger and went over those in a couple of places, and it really does add almost to it and make it a little bit more vintage. And then I think our last one that I want to show you is incomplete. I've got 2. Weeks ago, I did a demonstration on how to upcycle bottles in general. One of them was this one with the twine on it, and the other one was how to art glass your bottles, how to make them look more like art glass. And so I had this, not sure what to do with it, so I put my label on it. I did it the same way that I did the other labels. This glass, essentially, with the first time I actually used this bottle, I should say, I used a mixture of food coloring, glue, and I watered it down just a little bit to get this effect. So I had an inclination that it might bleed through just a little bit, and if you'll notice closely, right here, that turquoise color did bleed through, but I'm not worried about that because, again, these are meant to look old, vintage, and actually have some problems with them. They're supposed to be spooky. Now, the hand, these were actually salad tongs that I found at the Dollar Tree. And I simply snapped off the ends of them. And then what I'm going to do is glue the other hand on. So in this case, I need my hot glue. I'm going to turn this towards me so I can see. The hot glue strings are coming off, and there you go. And that's going to set up in just a few minutes, but I thought, what a really creative way to use a found object, the tongs, for this. So I think that one turned out really cute. And now the only other thing that I'm going to show you how to do today, and that's how to finish this bottle. I have this I'm gonna move my supplies over. Oh, by the way, I did, on this bottle, which I did not show you, again, it is just Mod Podged on here, but I had this metal looking sticker at home. I actually have them in heart shapes as well as the star shapes. And so I added just a little bit of an extra dimension to this. I hot glued that on there. I don't know that it would stick very well without that. But again, this was the art glass. And then I just added this little embellishment to that. So I'm going to show you how to get a label on here. So if anything else, you can put a label on a bottle. Paint the bottle and then put a label on it. I'm going to get just a little bit of Mod Podge. Again, you can buy this in a matte finish. I did not have matte finish, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to find my placement. This is the one I think I'm going to use. It's Poison Ivy. No, I'm sorry. The one I wanted to use was one called Witch's Brew. So I'm going to take a little of my Mod Podge. I'm going to put my label on there. I do want to make sure it's straight. This one is not, I noticed. But again, that's part of the imperfection of old witches' bottles. There, it's straight. And then I'm going right over the label and the bottle, as you can see. Now remember me talking about, it seemed like there was a crease. I'll take care of that in a minute because there's one on this one as well. You really only need one coating of the Mod Podge. I'm just trying to smooth it out. And right here is where it's bubbling, which again, I do not mind. I'm just taking my finger and smoothing that out a little bit. And I just think it adds to the vintage look of it anyway, to the old look. Now I didn't get it real good down here. This will dry clear. So don't worry about this looking all smudged up. As you can see, it's going to dry clear. Now there's our front. That's so easy to do. I think instead of using twine at the top, I'm going to use a little bit of my burlap. Excuse me. Instead of using the leather at the top, I'm going to use a little bit of twine. You can leave the corks or the lids in here if you'd like. You do not have to have the lid. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so far we've got that. I really like to add, I think, a few of these. So I'm going to add one hanging down. And then I'm going to put one right on the side of the bottle. And you could put spiders all over this thing if you wanted to. This one is attached to the twine. This one's attached to the bottle. And just for fun, I don't have my scissors. But really what I would like to do is to add one more at the top. We're going to see if we can't do that. In this case, I wasn't able to cut that off, but I think, let me hold that in place for a few moments. I think that will actually hold in place. I hope you've enjoyed our spooky or ghoulish bottles. You know, I just tried to be a little different and with decorating right now, especially in our times. I would love to see everyone decorating and decorating now versus right before Halloween gets here. I think we all deserve the fun of Halloween. There we go. I think that's on there. Good. And there we go. We've got this one done. You can see this is almost dry already. And this is just one of the fun bottles that you can make for Halloween. I hope you enjoy this. If you choose to make any of these yourself, please post pictures of them. They're fun. The kids would enjoy them. The adults would enjoy them as well. Thanks for watching and keep crafting.